Penta is a team that has really made waves in the Tier 2 level of the scene. They're a squad which has followed suit from what we've seen from the likes of FaZe and Mouse Sports, where you can have these international teams, and sometimes there is more benefit to having a multinational team because you can take a player, examples like Nico in the past, obviously Rain, where in their domestic scene, they couldn't have a team that's on the level of this international team. So therefore you take out some talent that maybe you couldn't get into your team otherwise, and they get a chance to perform at a level they otherwise wouldn't be playing at, no matter how good they are. And in Penta, we've really seen the value of that formula. Because in FaZe, they had kind of a get out in as much as they had so much money and so much attention, they could also get players who maybe could have played in a good team in their country. Penta has done it on a lower level where they've taken these players from countries at the moment generally don't have top teams. So for example, outside of Virtus.pro, there isn't a top team from Poland who's really making deep finishes in top international tournaments. If you go to Finland, they haven't had a top team pretty much ever in CSGO, if we're being realistic. So you go to these different countries, you take in the talents, and much as you've seen in FaZe, in Mouse Sports, if you get the right mix of those talents, then somehow, I've always said that the game for good players does transcend language to a degree, because a lot of communication in-game doesn't have to be verbal. The way you play, your style, if you fit with someone who's a teammate of yours, there's a chemistry that goes beyond words. And so I think Penta, coming from such humble beginnings of, in the past, just being a lowly German team, they've been able to show with this multinational roster that bringing in better talents from outside the region and putting them together and getting the right mixture together finally, they've got a style of play that's worked, they're getting upset results over people, and now they're ready to kind of unveil themselves at Tier 1 and play with the big boys. So the best player in Penta is the Finnish player Sunny, and he is someone where not only does he have a high skill level and is able to do a lot of damage in the server, but I think the most encouraging qualities to me about him is, first of all, he's quite a confident player. You can see from the way he plays in the game, he doesn't kind of question himself. And to go along with that, I think a really, really positive sign is that he's a player who actually has a level of discipline. He understands his style of play and he plays within it. And so he sets himself up to have great rounds. Whereas a lot of young players, a lot of rising stars, they live and die by their aim. And if they get put in a bad situation by poor decision making, they trust themselves to just shoot themselves out of it. And when you play the best players in the world, they have your skill level and they don't make the poor decision making. So I think the fact that Sunny is a controlled player, he's a guy who plays with discipline, but he has that skill level, I think that's what's enabled him to play in this team that's got an entirely different cultural background, but emerge as the star and quite a consistent star at that lower level. Now, of course, we've got to see, can he do it on the biggest stages against the world's best players? One of the most experienced players in Penta is the player Innocent from Poland. And he's someone whose story really kind of tells you all you need to know about the Polish scene outside of Virtus.pro. So because Poland has always been represented by Virtus.pro at a high level, with them winning majors and top-level finishes and being one of the elite teams for 3 or 4 years now, people have always looked solely at Virtus.pro, and every question about a player who's Polish who isn't in that team goes along the lines of, when will he join Virtus.pro, or would he ever get the invite to join Virtus.pro? And so in the early days, you go back to 2014, Innocent was one of those names in the mix, and people were like, maybe one day he will replace this player in Virtus.pro, or they'll consider him if they need a stand-in. And he's someone where, as such, he's lived in that shadow of Virtus.pro, like all those other Tier 2 players from within the Polish scene. And because his career went on so long and he was in these lineups that switched rosters up so much, they also had to switch roles over time and they tried different combinations of players. And he's even said eventually towards the end of his career in the Polish scene, he was playing more supportive roles. He couldn't necessarily shine individually. Obviously the teams were kind of capped. They couldn't go much further than the level they were stuck at. And everyone was still thinking, is one of us going to go and get a chance to play in Virtus.pro if they need to change a player? So moving to Penta allows Innocent to completely rewrite his CSGO history. He's played with these Polish teams in the past, and that has been the question he probably himself even wondered about. But now he's in a totally different situation. He's in a much better squad. He's with different players from different countries. He's getting a chance to shine now. We're seeing more of his kind of all-around talent. He's someone where people have known for a while. He could probably play outside of a Polish team. His experience certainly fits him well. He's one of the more cerebral players from that region. And so now, no one's wondering, is Innocent going to go to Virtus.pro? Now people are wondering, what can Innocent achieve in Penta as a good player in his own right, outside of the confines of being stuck in those teams that seem like the audition stage for Virtus.pro?